Yo, it's time to step into the business bubble.
We started, so welcome to the podcast, brother.
Thank you for inviting me.
No worries. Do you want your bubble tea?
Sure.
All right, let's do it.
I always grab it before, you know that.
Yeah, I know.
I was too excited.
So, Peng, the boss, actually told me to try this one. It's got it's got like a jelly base in there. It's like a custard base. All right, let's see how it is.
Hopefully you can drink that, and it's just like condensate at the bottom. And please, this one was again?
It's a peach oolong tea with pearls.
With pearls.
Yeah.
Sounds very sexy with pearls.
Oh man. So why did you move over to Australia then?
I don't know yet. No, you know what? A lot of people have asked me that already, but I knew since I'm a kid that I wanted to live out of Chile. Maybe because I'm an adventurous person and I like traveling, and I always remember thinking of, every time I was saying, I don't know, Europe, United States, New York, even the Opera House. I was so attracted to the Opera House. I've been to Europe and I thought, okay, I think it's time to try a little bit of Australia to see if I like it. So I came here in 2015 and I lived a year.
Right.
So I kind of came here first, had a taste of the country for a year, then moved back to my country and prepared myself, and then I came to study here.
Right.
So that was pretty much how I arrived here to Sydney.
So why did you choose Sydney over America? Why did you choose Australia over America?
I live in Los Angeles.
Okay.
So my impression of the U.S. was California, especially LA.
LA, yeah.
I do like it much.
Yeah.
Look, the weather is good.
Yeah.
But the way they live, it doesn't match the way I am, you know? I arrived to San Francisco first, and I like that much better.
Yeah.
You can guess what?
Yeah. It's a gay capital, right?
It is pretty much like one of the gay capitals in the city. Yeah, so when I moved but I don't like the weather there. It's quite cold, very moody. When I moved here, I was like, okay, I have a little bit of everything that I like.
Yeah.
I can feel a little bit of Europe, you know, if you're in the CBD, especially here. It feels like you are somewhere in London with good weather.
Yeah.
I don't know, and I think I've been enjoying it a lot. Yeah. So when I moved here, I was like, okay, I'm just going to do my master for 2 years and see what happens after that. And I've been here for 4 years so far.
So tell me, I guess, where did your journey come from in terms of, you know, your experience? I know that you were a teacher, and then you worked for Reese for a little bit, and then, you know.
Oh, yeah. Well, that was here, my last part of my journey.
Yeah.
So basically, so my sister, she's an artist, and she's 5 years older than me. And we get along. We've always been friends. So when she started studying at uni, doing art, she was kind of sharing everything with me.
Yeah.
So I was influenced by her since I was like, I don't know, let's say 10. And my dad, on the other hand, he loves craft. He was always building. He designed the 2 houses we had, and he was part of the building process. I was there seeing how. So imagine if you were like 3-4 years old and you are in the middle of a construction site, and then a couple of years later, 5 years later, again with an even bigger house and more interesting.
Your eyes are open.
I mean, it's obvious that you're going to end up doing that. You know, like you're trapped. So when I finished high school, I started doing architecture. Yeah. So I studied architecture for 2 years. Different reasons. I was really good, to be honest. Really good. I was no. People think that I just changed my major because, you know, I couldn't continue. I was actually one of the best. It was more like a personal crisis, and then it comes sexuality. To be honest.
Yeah. We could dive into that.
Yeah, later.
Yeah.
But then I wanted just to a little bit of. I thought it was going to be easier, to be honest, and then I moved to interior architecture. It was the same thing, very stressful, very tiring. Design is harder. Yeah, I mean, harder than what people think. Like it can be very, very hard.
Yeah,
there's too many factors that you need to put together. You know, but yeah, and then I moved to this one then, and I studied there nearly 6 years. I finished with certification in applied innovation. So the last year, I was doing project with people from finances and engineering at the same time. Just project of innovation in businesses. So it was completely different. You wouldn't link
No,
that. Yeah.
I'm still trying to work it out.
Yeah. Yeah. And after that, I started doing classes, of course, of design studio. So just teaching people how to do spaces. But also I got into this part of the innovation field. And then, I wish I could have done that. Maybe I'm still in time. I would love to just establish my studio, and then you need to start for, regular thing. And then I would love to have a branch that just works for innovation. Innovation, let's say product innovation,
Like
material.
R&D, right? Research and development and all that
Yes,
stuff.
yeah, like it's creative, I think, honestly, this is something of a little bit off topic, but I think there's so much to do in terms of residential design. There's so many things that are so, like, old-fashioned.
Something that affected you in your journey to actually become, an architect today, and you mentioned sexuality, right?
Yeah.
And I know that that's something that's really close to your heart and it's important. Is that something that you're open to sharing?
Yeah.
Yeah, go for it.
100%.
So what happened? Like, what was the influence behind
Yeah.
that on your life?
I wasn't ready to expose myself, I think, in that social setting, because
Back in Chile?
yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. So I don't live in Santiago, which is the capital city. I live in Concepcion, which is the second largest city.
Mm.
But the cultural gap between the two cities is massive.
Yeah?
Yeah, it is massive. And when I was a kid, I'm 37, by the way, so I was born in 1985. So let's say in 1990s, back in Concepcion, it was pretty like
Conservative,
old-fashioned and
old-fashioned.
extremely conservative.
Mm.
So of course I was bullied since very, very. Even I wasn't aware, but people were looking at me weirdly.
Why is that?
I wasn't even very feminine. Like now, since I moved in Sydney, I kind of allow myself to be
Embrace
more,
it.
Yeah, embrace it and not be a. But I was a kid. I remember just controlling myself because they were just making so much fun always, and
Yeah.
I was bullied not in the school for luckily, but just my neighbors. Yeah, it was very rough.
Mm.
It was very, very rough because. Like, for me, there was no bad intention. Like, just wanted to be myself, you know? And then, of course, that made me very shy for a long time. Made me very, very shy, very self-aware. So I pretty much spent all my elementary school and my high school trying to hide it. And when you try to hide something that belongs to you and your personality, you are denying yourself. So when I started uni, I was trying to hide it as well, but I wasn't being myself, and that brought a lot of problems for me because one, I couldn't socialize properly, and it's something that I couldn't hold anymore, and that was a moment when everything collapsed in a way, and then I tried to just go back to myself and stay out of any public space pretty much for a year. I was just
You
at home.
isolated yourself.
Yeah, I isolated myself
Oh.
for, let's say, a year.
Yeah.
And I wanted to know what was going to happen with me. So I studied music for a year, just for me, because I like music. So,
Nice.
and then when I just was kind of ready and understood myself, I was like, okay, what do you want to do? And I decided to start interior design. I don't know if it's linked to my sexuality, to be honest, but something in me changed. I kind of accepted what I was, and slowly I work on myself. And then I met someone online. I remember first time when I was like 21.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, since I accepted myself,
Yeah.
that was completely different. And then it took me a couple of years to tell my family, tell my friends.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think part of that desire of moving overseas
Yeah.
was a little bit of trying to find a place where I could feel more comfortable,
Yeah.
I guess.
So it wasn't. Was it escape or was it I'm just looking for somewhere?
I think it was both. I think I'm naturally curious and I like culture and history and I like, of course, architecture and cities. I love cities.
That contributes to what you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think part of it was based on that. The other one was a little bit of escaping and giving myself a second chance to rewrite my identity in a way. Yeah.
Do you find that it's easier for younger kids these days then? Like when they find that like it's a better situation for them? Or do you feel
Back
like
in Chile, you mean? Or in general?
Yeah, in general. Oh, what about in Chile? Is this something that's a little bit more
Yeah, I think
open now?
I think in Chile it's getting better.
Yeah.
Even my family, they say in the last 4 years,
They're kinda
it's
like-
changed
Yeah.
a lot.